Our guest on today's episode is LeAnn Moen from Twin Valley, Minnesota, and she recently started a restaurant, bakery, and coffee shop called The Grove. And she and I first connected way back when I had just started growing small towns and I was speaking in a neighboring community. And she came up to me and we met in person and then we got on a phone call. And way back then, LeAnn had this idea for what she wanted to build in her town. And we had a really cool conversation. And it was just a couple months ago when The Grove and her restaurant and the fact that she had actually made this dream come to life, it came across my social media. And I couldn't wait to have her on the show just to talk about what had transpired. And so she's talking today about just the idea that she had way back in 2019, kind of what happened with that, how she got to what she's doing now. And again, it's just so much fun to talk to people who want more for their places, more for their towns, more for themselves. And then, of course, are willing to take that risk to do something and actually make good on that dream. So without further ado, enjoy this episode with LeAnn. Well, LeAnn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my, I am so excited for this episode. So why don't we share with our listeners kind of how you and I what we first connected about, and just even roundabout how long ago it was and what was happening at the time. And then we'll update everybody on where you're at today.
Well, I don't know how many years ago it's been, but when you first started, I started recognizing like I'm a huge small town supporter.
Yeah.
Always wanting to grow our small area and offer more opportunities.
Yeah.
I started following you I don't even remember how I came across everything you were doing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is totally somebody I need to get to know better and like visit with. And then I ended up talking to you, I think, in Detroit Lakes. You were speaking in Detroit Lakes
right.
at one of their community, I forget, was it women's leadership or something like that? I forget, but
it was the Women Connect series, I think.
Yes, that's
right.
It. Yeah.
And so just for the listeners' reference, what town are you in?
I'm in Twin Valley, Minnesota.
Population?
I live in about 720 to 750. My address is actually Gary, but we're very close to Twin Valley area. So we're all in the same community. So
yeah. So at the time, what were you looking at in your community? Because that was something we connected about that. I think we connected in person and I think we had a follow-up phone call.
Yeah, I think we, at the time, I've just always been like wanting to offer more things and do anything to increase like our community involvement and just supporting our community members wherever they're at in life, whether it's elderly or our kids or just supporting people in general, just offering something for everyone. So yeah, that was kind of our two communities. Gary had the elementary school there and Twin Valley has the high school. So we're very like one community basically, but now the high school is in Twin Valley. Everybody's in Twin Valley now actually, but that kind of prompted me to want to do more in Twin Valley because all of our kids were there. I don't know, I guess just kind of focus on making us one and just supporting each other. So that's what
were you doing professionally?
At
that time?
My husband and I ran a farm. We still run a farm I've been out here for 26 years. Work from home, mom, all the things that we do as a work from home mom. So yeah, working on the farm, like taking care of our home. We raised 4 beautiful kids who are now adults and 3 of them are parents themselves. And yeah.
That's fun. Are they close?
They are all close. Yep. Oh, thankfully.
Awesome. So when you and I talked back again, it was a handful of years ago. I'm not sure if even when I came to DL, if my project was done. I don't think it was. I don't think it was. When you and I had visited, and that was what we were talking about, because you were asking me a lot of questions about kind of co-working. And at the time, you were looking at a space that was vacant on Main Street in your town. And I think you were talking about a coffee shop. What were some of the things that you envisioned in that early conversation?
The early conversation involved 3 separate buildings. They were all connected. But I had a vision for each building in its own. One would be a coffee shop. One was going to be like a local art. Places to host things would be the third, just kind of a universal community place of gathering. That was right before COVID hit. And it fell through for whatever reason. And it's kind of crazy how things happen, timing. But now I'm in a completely different building.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy how that all happens. But
so tell us about the Grove.
The Grove it's one building. It's got the coffee bar. It's got an ice cream place. We have a restaurant. We've got a kind of a back room that's set up for anyone who needs, space to gather in, or Bible studies, anything like that. We've had groups gather back there. We've had families gather back there. Like, it's just cool. I love it. So it's kind of all these, we have a bakery. So it's like this little hub that's got all these little things in. So
what was your background? Like, what made you feel like you could take this on? Because restaurants, even coffee bars, like every small town wants a coffee shop. I think every small town, I've had a few local coffee shops on the podcast in other small towns, and there's something really special about the community that forms around them, especially if you have a spot like you do in yours where people can meet. It's so much more than coffee, right? It's so much more than that. It's the sense of community, kind of that idea of a third place where people can go. But those are also workforce intensive businesses to run. They're hard to find people to work in. That's a problem everywhere. So talk to me a little bit, like, how did you get this off the ground? What made you feel so compelled to do this thing? Just tell us everything about it. Because I always think it's fascinating, like, not to say, and by the way, not in any way to imply that any human couldn't do it. Like, if you have the grit and the determination and you have you get your business plan together and all of that. But I still always find it interesting. You're in a town of less than 1,000 people and you did it. And again, I was just so excited when I saw it, LeAnn. Like, when I saw it come across and I saw your name, and I was like, oh my goodness, like she did it. So I couldn't wait to have you come on, because it's a big difference between thinking about it and dreaming about it and actually pulling the pin and doing it. So
absolutely.
Gosh, just tell us everything.
I've always loved to cook and bake. Like, baking is my love, to be honest. I've always done that. But I grew up with my grandma, who we spent tons of time together. She kind of gave me my love of cooking and baking, really. But then I ran our cafe in Gary for a short time. And I just loved the atmosphere. I loved the sense of community and seeing the people that would come in every day and just forming those relationships with people. And it's always been my dream to offer something within our community to help enhance it, to help it grow and become, it's something bigger than anything we could ever imagine ourselves being involved with. It becomes so much bigger. And that was kind of what I just kept pressing toward it. It's been on my heart for so many years to do this. I thought, it can't be just there for no reason. Like, I have to pursue it. I tried ignoring it. I tried pushing it, shoving it down, thinking, oh my gosh, all the doubts and fears. And I thought, no, you have to keep going. It's on your heart for a reason, and it's not leaving you. And I kept looking I knew I wanted it in Twin Valley. Like, something just told me that was where it was supposed to be. It was gone. I know it was. So I just kept pressing on. The first 3 buildings, it fell through right before COVID. I feel like that was, I don't know where I'd be today if I had gotten those before COVID. But yeah, and then all of a sudden, I called somebody. I had checked on this building I'm in now, and I had we kind of went back and forth with bidding, counter offering, going back and forth. And all of a sudden, I just lost communication with the owner. There was nothing. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. It's not meant to be, whatever. And then it was probably a little over a year later. And I found out, I kept wondering why nothing was happening with this building, because it was just
a whole year.
It was over a year. And I was like, so I just started checking into who owned it now, or if it was still the same people that owned it. And here it was someone in our town who owned it. So that I'm just going to reach out and see what their plans are for it. Well, it was a couple that owned it said that something had just told him 2 days before that he was supposed to sell it. And I called him like 2 days after, and I have it now. Like, it's ours and it's thriving, and it's such a crazy thing. Like, the timing is so crazy to think about, but you just got to trust it. So we opened December 11th. So it was 4 months ago, this last Wednesday.
And what are your hours? Like, what does it look like? Do you have are you open full time? How many people do you have working for you? Just share some of those details.
We are open Tuesday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And Saturdays, we're open 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we have typically 5 to 6 people working all day long.
That's a heavy workforce.
Yeah, but we've got, like I said, the bakery, the coffee bar, we've got the restaurant, the kitchen going. It takes all of us to make it work.
I bet.
Including me.
Yeah. So are you still active on the farm?
Not so much anymore.
Okay.
Our oldest son farms with us now, and he's kind of taking the lead on things. And yeah.
That helps.
So now, definitely. There's no way I could do both.
Right. I love all of that from a timing perspective. I also want to come back to, because I think this is really important, LeAnn. Like, the reason I was so excited to visit with you again is because I do meet a lot of people from other places, will reach out and share with me they have this idea. And of course, I love that. I want to encourage everybody that has an idea, because what I also think is really important for all of us to remember is that these ideas, and you said it was given to you. Oftentimes, I really genuinely believe that the reason it's been given to us is because it's ours to do something with. It's a calling. It's a calling up, and it will just keep kind of bothering you and like pestering you until you do something with it.
Right.
And I don't want to give it that kind of negative connotation, but I just think it's something to acknowledge and recognize.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's also really special about it is that it can make us love our places so much more. The shepherding forward or the stewarding forward of an idea like this, it transforms us too, not just shaping the place.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
And so it just makes us really special.
It brings something out of me that I didn't even know was there, or that I had the what? Energy and that.
Yeah. What is it? What does your business do for you?
It brings me so much stress, but so much peace at the same time. Like, it's just something it's your vision and your why for doing it that keep you want to push forward, and the problem solving and the, figuring things out. And it just keeps pushing me forward to keep going and
how
keep growing.
Talk to me a little bit about the sense of community, the people that have come along to help you. Like, has there been moments where you just think, man, you showed up at just the right time, or any surprises like that with people?
Oh, very much so. Employee-wise, absolutely. Your team is everything. I'm sure you are fully aware of that. Mm-hmm. It takes a team that works well together to make something like this grow, and to have a team that sees your vision and wants to be a part of that and help push you to reaching that goal I can't even explain what an awesome feeling that is.
There's kind of nothing like it.
I mean, it makes me flutter a little bit thinking about that I have such an awesome group behind me and alongside of me that wants this as much as I do. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I love that.
But it's not an easy thing to find those people that mesh well together.
How do you think, because I don't really believe in luck, and I don't really believe in coincidence, right? I think, but I also believe sometimes that there's just innate things that people are doing. And then we try to identify what those things are so other people can replicate them. What do you think you did what was special about the way you went about trying to find your teammates? Like, what is there anything you can share about kind of your approach or anything? Because you were a startup. I mean, and being a startup, you honestly have to be very open and honest about, like, half the time I don't know what I'm doing, but you want to come and work with me? Like, it's not a super great sales pitch. I mean, it's kind of funny, but how did that go for you? And again, and it's such a small town too.
I think I know, like, when I went into this and I was interviewing people, that was my first and foremost. They had to understand what my vision was and the type of people I was needing to come alongside of me to accomplish it.
Did you have a vision statement written out, or did you just have that general, what did your vision, how did you communicate that? What did that sound like?
My vision focused around community. It focused around the well-being of my staff. First and foremost, they are my priority.
Yeah.
And just the vision I had for the overall purpose for the building community, building a place of belonging and support. And I knew I wanted to build a team that was they not only had me as an employer and their biggest supporter, but somebody who realized that life happens outside of the building we're in. And I, as much as any of them, understand that family comes first. Yes, it's a huge part of our lives, but life goes on outside of this building. And we have to be there to support each other and all of that. And we do. That's how we function from day to day, is we are a team and we're there to support each other no matter what. And we just make it work.
Yeah, that's amazing. And good for you. I love this so much. Again, my background, professionally, before I really got a little more into the community development kind of angle is organizational development. And so I work with companies usually, right? Because they're bigger places with, maybe 50, 100, 200 something employees. But everything you're talking about are the principles of what makes places really great places to work. And oftentimes we don't tend to give it as much credit, or we don't give it as much time and attention. The vision of it, there's values baked into these statements too, right? Things that you care about, things that matter to you, priorities. And it also helps you, again, like you're talking to people, and this isn't just a job. And if someone was there just to collect a paycheck, they wouldn't probably be right for your business. And so I think I love this so much. If I could wave a magic wand, I would infuse more business owners with that sensibility, because it's not a brain thing, it's a heart thing.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Because that way people, like you said, people care about your business as much as you do, because you cast a vision of something that they wanted to get behind. And if they didn't care about that, they wouldn't fit with you.
Right.
And, they wouldn't be happy. You wouldn't be happy with them, and you'd part ways.
Right.
I just wish more businesses would think this way, because it is super important.
And that's what I led with. I mean, with every employee I've ever hired, that's been at the forefront, and they have to have an understanding of what they're coming into, because it's not just a place for us to work. It's so much bigger than that.
Yeah. So just 4 quick months. How long was the process between, purchasing? Did you have to put a business plan together and all of that? Yeah. What kind of resources were available to you where you live? What were some of the things that you felt like you really needed to lean on when you were building all of that? Or did you have prior experience building a business plan?
Not at all.
Right. That's a weird skill. If you would have randomly had it, LeAnn, I would have been very curious where you picked that up. So did you get some help?
Yeah, I had we have our small business development. I had some help from them. We have a Twin Valley Economic Development Association that was great with assisting with things, and our county level as well. Yeah. So
that's great. It's really, this is what's so interesting too. It's one thing to have an idea, and just on paper and even just listening to you, you've got a lot of the just innate kind of ingredients that need to be present for somebody to succeed. But that's not how we get funded, or that's not how we get capital from a bank, right? You don't walk into a bank and say, "Can trust me." I've got this vision and it's going to be great, and they say, okay, yeah, help us understand what you want to do. So it's always so interesting. There's like all these parts that have to go into helping a person like you accomplish this. But first and foremost, it's listening. It's listening to those ideas. Did you vet your idea through anybody? How many conversations did you have? Like, were there anybody that said that's never going to work? Or were there people on the contrary that said, oh my gosh, LeAnn, you'd be perfect for this? When, did you do any kind of, I would not call it market analysis. I didn't do market analysis either, but just having those general questions, did you talk to a lot of folks about it before you fully got into it?
No, I didn't talk to a lot of people at all.
Good for you.
Close friends, community leaders, that kind of thing. I talked to several people about it, but I mean, it wasn't not a huge group of people by any means.
Yeah.
I kind of kept it to myself, because when you start something like this, so often you get into it and it doesn't work out for whatever reason. And so, I mean, I'm not one to just kind of put it all out there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just very, I don't know, just kind of step by step, day by day, one thing at a time kind of thing.
Yeah. So cautious. You maybe were cautious in terms of sharing it. And I think that makes a ton of sense. It's only been 4 months, I realized, but have there been any just kind of big surprises, either positively or maybe not so awesome? Were there things that you were really not expecting?
Yes, for sure. There's always things that pop up that you weren't expecting to have to deal with, or surprise expenses, or, I mean, there's always stuff like that going on. And I feel like we're in constant transition, because we are new. We're constantly tweaking things to make it better. What can we do differently to make this better and make it, make us more efficient and, that kind of thing. I think the biggest surprise for me was just, and it wasn't really a surprise, but I just wasn't expecting like the employee side of things. That was a big, people you start out with thinking, we're set. We've got this awesome team in place. We're going to go full steam ahead. And then for whatever reason, it's not a good fit, or respect is huge to me, not only to me, but for our entire team. And it's just not something I'm willing to waver on. I expect that for everybody, not just myself, but for all of us as a team. So that's been a little bit surprising to me, but overall, it's been a great thing so far. The time it's taking to manage everything is a huge eye-opener for me. I had a cafe before and it was probably a third of the size of what this is now. And the time it's taking to manage it on top of working in there. And yeah, it's very time consuming.
Yeah, it sure is. And I love your acknowledgement of the constant tweaking and the constant adjusting. That's that's very taxing. And it's necessary.
It is.
I mean, it's necessary to, like you said, it's process improvement. It's paying attention to what's working and what's not and tweak it, but it's so tiring. What is the reception from the community overall felt like?
We have had overwhelming support from day one.
That's awesome.
Has been, I came in with no expectation. Like, I didn't know how it was going to go. I just knew I had the drive in me to make it work. And it's been great. Like, we've had people from surrounding communities even support us. And that has been amazing.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you, LeAnn.
Thank you.
It's funny. Like, having you on, it almost feels like this is like a status check of a previous guest, just because, you and I had we had a pretty good conversation about, I think you even maybe sent me pictures of that building. I mean, I feel like we really talked about that building. And and again, that was because if it was pre-COVID, I started growing small towns in mid 2019 and didn't buy the building until the end of 2020. So I would have been right in the middle of that dreaming stage too. And man, it was hard. It is hard work.
Yes.
And so it's just so fun to see and hear about someone like you that had an idea so long ago and the timing wasn't right. And yet the dream didn't die because the timing wasn't there. It just like patiently waited.
Right.
And that's really, really cool. And seriously, Twin Valley is not that far away from me. So I really hope to get up and actually see you in person. And
I would love to see you.
Yeah, it would be wonderful. I am just truly, I know that this is one of those episodes that is going to inspire people. And if nothing else, I think sometimes it's literally just to listen to that inner voice. There are so many people and there's so many resources that can help us. But nothing can replace that inner drive. Like that's not something that can be outsourced. Figuring out how to do a business plan and figuring out even things with once you're open and operating. There are so many resources, but nothing replaces that kind of the dream, I guess, on your heart.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And just your drive to want to make your community better. Yeah, you just keep pushing, and that's where I'm at. I want so much more for this. It will happen. I just I'm trying to be patient and just work through things and, get everything headed in the right direction. And
well, they're lucky to have you. They're really lucky to have you. And the other truth is it's happening, like
it is.
It's all unfolding just as it needs to. And yeah, I can't wait for the day where I get to come up and eat some of your food and check the whole thing out. We will absolutely put links to everything in the show notes, but honestly, from one kind of crazy dreamer to another, congratulations. Congratulations on being open, and your community and everybody they're honestly blessed by having you there.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming to share your story with us, LeAnn. It was nice to talk to you.
Yes, you too. Thanks for everything.